Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We are back. It's the Six Rings King Show. I decided to go a little gangster on you there with the yeah. I don't know where that came from, but we haven't been on in a while, man. So I had to do
Please don't do it again.
yeah. That one's
Send
for
it
you,
back.
Paul. That one's for you, Paul. All right.
Oh, Lord.
What's going on, everybody? Jazz Santana here, joined by David Eversole, Danny Gillette, Paul Austria, and our special guest, Mr. Marsh from State of the U and Fours Up podcast. Did I get that right, Marsh?
Yes, you did. What up, boys?
There we go. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. And, of course, give a big shout-out to Five Regions Sports Network for letting us do this and giving us the opportunity to talk to you all about Canes football and everything else. So, obviously, we got a big show tonight. Got to talk about a couple things, right? We've got the North Carolina State game tomorrow night, 7:30, I believe, is game time. Big game coming off a bye. Obviously, we all know how the boys kind of react after a bye, and hopefully we get a different outcome this time around. But we got a big game tomorrow night, and also want to talk a little bit of recruiting news. Some big games tonight going on in South Florida. The biggest one is obviously Palmetto and Northwestern. We've got about 7 commits playing in that game between both teams. I know Larry Bluestein is out there taking a look, and I'm sure a few others like Andrew Ivins and the rest of the bunch and a whole bunch of other guys. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I do want to start off with talking a little football. I know that there's some rumors going around, Marsh, and I want to see if maybe we can start off with this. Maybe it's just a bunch of bogus BS, but nobody saw De'Aaron King get off the bus today in North Carolina. What's going on there, man? Are we back to N'Kosi Perry now? I'm just kidding, but
Cozy Hive, man.
The Cozy Hive, baby.
You know, we won't know anything until tomorrow. All these Canes insiders and sources are trying to tell us that King isn't there. So, I'm not gonna speculate on anything about that, but we won't know until tomorrow if King is out, if anyone is out. So, I mean, as of right now, who is really there to tell us if he's getting out at the airport? So
yeah, no kidding. They keep that stuff pretty close to the vest anyways. Yeah. So we probably, like you said, we won't know anything. But speaking of quarterbacks, right? Devin Leary from North Carolina State is going to be out. He's been out for a while now, and it looks like the kid, what's his name, Hockman, is going to be the starting quarterback over at NC State. Their offense takes a big hit with that. They do have a nice wide receiver over there in Emeka Emezi, who's doing a pretty good job. He's a big wide receiver, can go up and get the ball. I want to start off talking a little bit about the offense for North Carolina State and what Miami needs to do to kind of contain them. We all know that Miami sometimes has a knack for making some quarterbacks look better than they really are, right? I mean, we've seen that with UAB, and we've even seen that with Brendan Armstrong, although he's turned out to be a pretty good quarterback over there at Virginia as well. But talk to me a little bit about what you see at NC State's offense and what the Canes need to do on defense to kind of continue, playing well, because they are playing well, but just to kind of continue going in that direction.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just with your starting quarterback being out, they're obviously going to try and establish the running game, which the Canes have had problems with this season, and so I think the biggest thing is shutting down the run game and not making that an option. In the first half especially. But Hockman has not played very well. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. His completion percentage isn't as high. He's thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns. So I think just making the NC State offense depend on him and rely on him is going to be huge, causing turnovers, which Miami for some reason hasn't been great at this year. We haven't caused a lot of turnovers. It's not the Manny Diaz defense that we're used to seeing. And so obviously just definitely shutting down the run game early on and making them depend on this young, inexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, and turning it over to the Canes defense, Dave, noticed that Amari Carter is actually going to be out for this game. He's kind of run out of he's run out of targetings that he can throw on the table for the referees. So apparently he's going to be out for this game, which is obviously going to give Bubba Bolden and Gervin Hall an opportunity to play most of the game. But we're probably going to see other guys out there as well. Keyshawn Washington, Jalen Harrell. I'm not sure if Brian Balaam is back or not. I guess we'll know all those things a little later on as well. But from a defensive standpoint, Dave, again, we want to make sure that we continue to play hard, cause turnovers against a guy like what March said, right? A mediocre quarterback at best over at NC State. They do have a good wide receiver, but our cornerbacks have been, pretty solid most of the year. What's it going to take? What are we going to see from that Hurricane defense?
Well, they turned it over last week 4 times against North Carolina, which I think that's a similar barometer to Miami. North Carolina is a real good team running the football, so they kind of got ahead and were able to pin their ears back against them, against the quarterback. And actually, Hockman, I think, got pulled from that game. He turned the ball over, and the backup came in and wasn't any better. So they've got a lot of problems over there in NC State's offense. They couldn't really establish the run last week against Carolina. So I think Miami, like Marsh was mentioning earlier, needs to be aggressive again and return to that Manny Diaz style and kind of have that signature win. We haven't really had that game since Florida State where we really put out a 60-minute performance and totally just put our footprint on the game early, and kind of the tone was set and there was no doubt about anything. So I think from that standpoint, play from ahead and be real aggressive. And I think a lot of that's going to be on the offense. I want to see a bounce back performance from the offense to kind of set the tone, make some big plays early, and then let the defense sort of follow suit. So I'm looking for them to be able to shut down NC State pretty easily. They weren't really able to get much going last week. Like you said, they have one pretty good receiver there on the outside. But other than that, I don't think they're going to pose too many problems as far as going over the top. And I'm looking for a good game from the defensive line. I think we can key on the run game inside and collapse the pocket on any kind of third down situations. And I think we're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for the defense to get turnovers early and often. And I think I feel the opposite way, David. I feel like defense kind of steps up, causes turnovers, is aggressive, and the offense is going to follow. I think that's the way that we're going to have to build some momentum on the offensive side, because we have been, having some issues on the offensive side. Maybe it's going to give us an opportunity to kind of score early and often, get really good field position, and then kind of go from there. Big thing for me is the running game, right? We haven't seen a stout running game in a few games now. Cam Harris has been struggling. We saw glimpses of Don Chaney last week, running the ball hard, and Jalen Knighton a little bit, but not enough. I'm not satisfied with it, and I think a lot of Canes fans and a lot of people are not satisfied with how the running game has been in the past 2 or 3 games. And Danny Gillette, I want to go to you on this, on the running attack from both sides, right? From NC State and from the Hurricanes. I know that we've had our issues on the defensive side, stopping the run a little bit, whether it's from the quarterback position or the running backs themselves. Talk to me a little bit about what you see from the running attack from both sides of the football, and what's it going to take for Miami to kind of get going?
Well, I think for Miami, what you see in the running game is what at this point. I talked a little bit about it last week. I would love to see the running backs get more production and get more consistent production. I think they need to get into a rhythm, but just in case they don't, I would also love to see them get involved in the passing game in this game. I don't want Miami to try to keep feeding the running backs the football if it's not working. If it's still not working by the beginning of the second half, then I say try something different, switch it up, adjust, and get them involved in the passing game. And then for North Carolina, I think for Miami, it's going to be important that they make solid tackles and wrap up. And because if you let the North Carolina State running backs, miss a tackle, or if you let them get space, they're going to make you pay. As far as the offensive side, Miami needs to get the running backs involved in any way they can, and then on the defensive side, make sure you shore up the tackling, and also make sure you keep the quarterback in the pocket, because as soon as the quarterback starts to move to the outside, Miami's really had a lot of trouble trying to stop that. We saw it a little bit last week, and there were times where Miami looked really good defending the quarterback run, but then there were other times where the quarterback managed to bounce to the outside, and I think 3 quarterbacks were used in the last game, and Miami just couldn't stop it. So that's certainly something to watch for on Friday.
Well, I think you brought up a great point with regards to tackling, right? They need to do a little bit better job of wrapping up. Paul, I want to go to you and then we'll come back around with Marsh. But a big thing that we kept talking about last week on last week's show, and also right after the Virginia game, is not seeing De'Aaron King pull the ball on a lot of these inside reads, right? I think we need to be more multiple, right? I think we need to come up with different running plays, right? That inside zone read, it's kind of getting monotonous, and you're seeing defenses play to that, and De'Aaron King is not pulling the ball and running enough, I think, right? That's just my opinion. I know a lot of us agree with that opinion as well, but I think we need to see De'Aaron King do that a little bit more. And I like what Danny said last week, and he continues to talk about it now, is to get them more involved in the passing game as well, right? So talk to me a little bit about that, Paul, and what you want to see out of De'Aaron King from a running standpoint.
I mean, looking back now, I mean, it's still disappointing to kind of just look at the box score and see that no one ran for more than 40 yards against Virginia. I think they were all like in the 30s and low 40s. And I think that if there is a game where the run game gets really established, it's this game. You know, looking back to NC State's last game against North Carolina ran for 326 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns. The leading runner averaged like close to 10 yards a carry, ran for 3 touchdowns. I think this is a important game, at least to kind of establish that rhythm again, especially with Cam Harris. I know there's been a lot of talk about, Harris being frustrated that he's not really involved as much, and they're kind of handing the ball off more, or at least they're getting Knight and Chaney more involved. But honestly, from my understanding, Lashley's going to just go with what's working. We saw that in the season opener.
Yeah, go with the hot hand. Go with the hot hand.
Exactly. Sure. And not even that, but just also just like in that season over against UAB, you didn't see King throw the ball that much in that game because the running game was working so much. And you just hope that and plus having Brevin Jordan back is also going to be a big plus for them. So you kind of just hope for more balance as well as more success. I feel like overall, Miami's favored by 10.5 points right now, but this is definitely like what David said, that you want to kind of just see that signature Miami win. I feel like every game we've seen flashes of what they can be, but they haven't really, outside the FSU game, they haven't really steamrolled anyone. Especially against Virginia, where I think they probably should have won handedly, but they kind of just squeaked away. I mean, a win's a win, but still. And it's weird because I also think that this is also one of those trap games I mentioned, where they're kind of playing those like mid-tier ACC teams, especially with this being on the road. You just never know, and hopefully Miami doesn't play down in the competition. We hate seeing that. Hopefully, I'd hope for at least 400 yards of total offense this game. I don't know if I'm being super optimistic or if I'm asking too much.
Yeah, man, that's
it's definitely doable.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Look, listen. De'Aaron King, we saw him throw the ball the way that we wanted to see him throw the ball the last couple of games. He really did well against Virginia. Again, we haven't seen it all come together like we saw against FSU to a certain extent. I still want to see that again. And Marsh, getting Brevin Jordan back is a big piece of it, right? I think he is what keeps this offense going. He energizes this offense. His yards after catch are huge a lot of times. But again, I'm going back to De'Aaron King, and he's got to do a better job of pulling the football and running the ball, maybe seeing the open spots and pulling that, because you are seeing the linebackers are kind of playing, spy per se, or they're kind of holding on and waiting to see what he does. But a lot of times you're seeing them cave in, right? And so he's got that lane to come out. What I want to see is De'Aaron King do a little bit more of that, mix it up. He's got the passing game going on right now. Obviously, Mike Harley had a good game. Mark Pope is starting to wake up a little bit. So you're seeing a little bit more from the wide receivers. What do you want to see out of De'Aaron King from not only from a running perspective, but what else could he do from an offense perspective to score more points, right? Because we only saw 19 points from the offense last week. 2 weeks ago, actually. So we want to see more from that.
Well, I think it's, it falls on everybody. It falls on the offensive line not being able to help establish the run game a little bit more like they were against UAB, teams like that. As far as De'Aaron King goes, a lot of people would like him to keep the ball a little bit more in those situations. It's pretty crazy. We had this one statistician on our show, and King has the most scrambling yards out of any quarterback in college football. So he's running the ball effectively, but obviously it can be more. And I think that's what a lot of Canes fans were, especially me. We saw what he did at Houston, almost 700 rushing yards in one season. We were expecting a little bit more of that. We've seen a lot more of King the passer this season. And so it's hard because you see week 1 against UAB, there was a lot of designed runs that Lashley called that didn't really go anywhere. And so, the defense is really going to be keen in on D'Eriq King running the ball. But obviously, you have to see more diversity when it comes to running plays and things like that. So as far as what he can do more, some of it falls on his wide receivers. Some of it's a whole combined effort because he threw for over 300 yards against Virginia. A lot of it comes down to the red zone offense not being able to, deliver touchdowns instead of having to rely on Jose Borregales for a few field goals. So, I don't think it's necessarily just on King, but obviously King can do more. Keep the ball a little bit more. You're a cheetah out there. I mean, the man is flying down the football whenever he keeps in and runs. So, I think we're going to see a lot more King running the football. Maybe not tomorrow night, but throughout the rest of the season, I think we'll see a lot more King running the football, especially when guys like Cam Harris aren't producing when it comes to that.
Right. That's going to be huge, right? Is Cam Harris kind of getting things going again? Obviously, he's been kind of upset or frustrated, I guess is the best word to say, with his performance recently. And I think we all are. I don't know if it's necessarily, an issue with the way that he's. It's kind of tough to say the way he's running the football. Is it the play calls? Is he not seeing the hole well enough? And Jock, listen, you're a former college football guy. You're kind of are you frozen right now? He comes on and then he gets frozen. This is unbelievable.
His connection's coming.
You're fashionably late as usual, and now you get frozen on me. Jesus Christ!
Is this still fashionable?
I don't know how fashionable it is. You're right.
I had to coach my kids, man. I'm coaching at South Miami now. I got to coach my kids, brother.
There it is. That a boy, Manny. Manny back there in the back producing the show. Thank you. Happy birthday, Manny.
Happy birthday, man. Hey.
It's not really his birthday. Oh, look, you changed the background. Jock, we haven't really, obviously you came in, we're
18 minutes in.
Anymore, man. 18 minutes. Unbelievable, man. Listen, look, we were talking a little bit about D'Eriq King's performance on the ground, and I think it's important that, and Marsh brings up some good points. It's not only about, his production, it's about the team as a whole, the offensive line, the wide receivers doing what they need to do. The running backs need to do what they, need to do what they, what they're supposed to do, right? Run the football hard. And we've seen a little bit from a lot of the guys, but we haven't seen it come together as a whole, right? What's it going to take for the Hurricane offense to produce more points? Not only D'Eriq King. I mean, Marsh brings up he brings it up. It's not only about D'Eriq King, but of course we're all looking to him to kind of get this offense going, right? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of us kind of underrated the Virginia defense. They're pretty solid, up there. And I think Miami was kind of taking them lightly. But like I've been harping on all season, it's looking design quarterback runs that will help the running game in general. It's not just the running backs finding holes and stuff like that. Because if you run in the quarterback run game, the running backs holes will open up automatically just because they're surrendering guys in the box. So you have to see a lot more QB design runs. I think the offensive line is – I can't say it's a problem. They're not a problem pass protecting. Running the football has been an issue, particularly, trying to run up the middle with the zone read. I mean, with the smash mouth football. A lot of our big runs have come because the trash got swallowed up in the inside and the backs bounced to the outside and you were able to hit the home runs. And we scored on, a 3rd and 1. I think Cam Harris with his first 60-yard run was 3rd and 1 against UAB, and then
the 4th and 1 actually.
And Louisville was the same thing. It was just a broken 3rd and 1, 4th and run. Everybody setting out to step it up the middle. He bounced it outside and he scored. So I just want to see those a lot more QB run game from Miami, and it will help the running backs. And also, I think they need to attack the edges a lot more and a lot of outside zone run. Running. You can even throw a little option out there, a little option football, something just to get the defense off balance, because everybody is seeing that Miami's middle of the middle of the offensive line, the centers and the guards are not that strong, so they're just attacking it. So I just want to see that, and also you want to see the receivers continue to build off the game they had against Virginia. I think all three guys played great. Obviously, Mike Harley had the big game, so I just want to see that happen, but. The only thing Miami can't do is get trapped in this game. It's a Friday night. It's you playing NC State, who's a pretty good team. Their run defense is terrible. I think they're ninth in run defense, and I know they're at the bottom half in points per game. I think they're giving up about 30 points a game.
In the ACC, I'm assuming,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
okay.
In the ACC. I'm sorry, in the ACC.
Ninth in the country wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, in the ACC, they're pretty bad. So Miami will be able to score points, but two games when they played North Carolina had over 300 yards rushing and I think 5 touchdowns, and Virginia Tech had a similar stat line. Virginia Tech actually was averaging 7 yards per carry against the game they had, and that's the game Collier went crazy on them. So they'll be able to run the football. This will be a game where if Miami can't run the ball this game, it's a problem.
Right, and that's you know what? I was actually gonna. You brought up a great point, and you mentioned UNC and you mentioned Virginia Tech. Both of them, okay. And I'm not taking anything away from Cam Harris and Don Chaney and Jalen Knighton, but Marsh, are our running backs as good as Khalil Herbert and what's his name? Javonte Williams. What's the kid's name over at UNC? The Williams kid. I know
number 8,
Javonte,
the Michael Carter kid.
And the Carter kid, right? The Carter and the Williams kid, both are studs over there on that side of the football. Are our running backs as good as those guys? Number one, and number two. Listen, you still got 3 pretty good linebackers over at NC State as well, right? With Wilson, the Drake kid, and the other kid, I forgot his name, Moore. I think it's Isaiah Moore. Tough linebackers. Yes, their run defense is bad. But
they're ninth. To clarify, they're ninth and ranked in rushing defense in the ACC.
Okay.
They're eighth in yards per game given up, and they're 13th in points given up.
Yeah, that never stopped the Miami Hurricanes from crapping the bed every once in a while. So,
and Virginia
this is YouTube for crying out loud, right?
To clarify the numbers, Virginia Tech had 41 attempts for 314 yards. UNC had 326 yards rushing with a 5.9 average and 5 touchdowns on the ground.
Marsh, can the Kings do that on the ground against?
Yeah, I mean we've seen the running game. I mean, look at what we did against UAB, who has a pretty good defense. We ran the ball for over 330 yards. So it has, we can be as effective as they are. I think a lot of people also forget, that Chaney and Knighton are true freshmen, and that it's going to take some time for them to hit that level.
That does not, like, at running back, that doesn't matter, because running back is pretty simplified across the game. That's why it's never really a drop off from them as college to pro. Like you see Dalvin Cook, he dominated in college, dominated in the league.
Well, not everyone is Dalvin Cook though.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah. I think this running game can be as effective. I think that it just playing to the strength of us and also to the the weaknesses of the other team. We've seen this running game be what it can be, and we've also seen where it's been disappointing. And so it has been pretty disappointing to see what our run game hasn't done the past 3 games, but we also know what it can do. So to say that they're as good as Herbert and the other guy at Tech, I don't think so, but I think we have the talent at running back to where it can be at that level. We're just not there yet.
I like Herbert, a former Kansas Jayhawk, but Herbert's from the area. He went to, I think it's American Heritage. I think he went to Heritage. He's from the area. So I just think for this, I think Chaney's more of an effective runner inside, and I think Jalen Knighton needs to get more on the edges because I think he's more explosive. So you want to see that. And another thing, Jazz, that I think we're talking a lot about the offense. But Miami's defense has to get back to that stomping ground because we have to generate pressure. The last game we played, we had 2 TFLs and only 1 sack. The last couple of games, the defense has fallen off a little bit. So we want to see that defense light back up and get back going like up front.
Agreed. I think that's something that we definitely need to see. I mean, they only gave up 14 points, but they gave up a lot of yards, right? And against a better offense, which NC State is a better offense with or without Bailey Hockman at quarterback. I still think that they could get going, and we want to be able to, like you said, is kind of put a stop to that early and often, cause a lot of turnovers. I want to kind of turn it over to a little bit more. Talk a little bit more offense from the wide receiver position. Obviously, we saw Mike Harley go off last couple weeks ago with 10 catches for over 170 yards, career day for Mike Harley. Mark Pope looked all right. He didn't look too bad. We're getting some of the guys back, some of the younger guys back, right? Michael Redding will be back, I believe. I would hope so. Obviously, they're still keeping it kind of close to the vest, but Xavier Restrepo's another kid. Based off of what Rhett Lashley has been talking about, we're going to see a lot more Keyshawn Smith as well. He's so damn fast that apparently they think that he's a kid that can take the top off the defense a little bit on the outside. We'll see. We'll see. It's still yet to be determined on how good this wide receiver core can be. Jeremiah Payton maybe starts to get a little more playing time. Again, the biggest thing is we get Brevin Jordan back, and I think that's going to make a huge difference. Will Mallory, Brevin Jordan down the middle might open things up a little bit, and I think the wide receivers are getting a little more confident. Dave, talk to me a little bit about what you want to see from the wide receiver position, and also Brevin Jordan. Hopefully that he's not made out of glass anymore, and he can stay on the damn football field for longer than 2 quarters. Also, so.
Come on, Jazz, man. It's football now.
It doesn't matter. He still made a glass, right? What's the first thing that we spoke about when we first started this show, right? Talking about Brevin Jordan. If he can stay on the field, he's the best tight end in the country. But he's a first rounder.
Kyle Pitts, but availability is the most,
get out of here, man.
Thing.
The best ability.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I think from the passing game, I want to see more creativity. And particularly I saw with NC State, especially last week, they don't tackle well in space. There was a lot of missed tackles in that North Carolina game, again, in the running game and in the passing game as well. I want to see, I hate to say, go back to some of the bubble screens and all that stuff, because I know we hated that offense with Miami. But I think you got to get these guys in space and get the ball out of King's hands pretty quick to build some rhythm up. And I want a little more creativity out of the offense. I know we mentioned getting the running backs involved. I want to see some screens, maybe a little bit of rollout with King and maybe throwing the ball back to the other side of the field, kind of using that aggressiveness of the defense against them. Get the running backs involved in the passing game, but in space. I want to get those guys like Knighton out in the edge in space and to attack the perimeter of the defense a little bit more. And I want to see more creativity over the middle of the field. Maybe guys like Restrepo can sort of be that Barrios light and work the slot a little bit more. We haven't seen a lot of that really from the receivers. It's been kind of like feast or famine, a lot of stuff on the outside. King's been trying to hit a lot of big plays one-on-one on the outside. I want to see a little bit more short intermediary stuff, quick to the wide receivers in space, particularly in this game against a poor tackling secondary with NC State. So I think that's going to be key to build a rhythm for King and then build up to the shots. And hopefully if we can run the ball, play action will even be more successful. So I think with a little bit of balance and creativity in the passing game, it's just going to help the offense, because I don't think we've seen all the tricks in Lashley's bag yet. So I think this is a good game to kind of break out a couple things maybe that you want to try and put away for later. Not necessarily gimmicky stuff, but just a little bit more creative. And I want to see the wide receivers working in space on the edges.
So Paul, what Dave is saying that is basically we should just fire Rhett Lashley and rehire Pat Nix. I mean, what do you think about that?
Come on.
Cool. I'm just messing around. But Paul, go ahead, man.
I still trust Lashley. I mean, I just don't know if he's kind of holding back still, because I know, after the UAB game, everyone's wondering, okay, we kind of expected the bunch of slants and quick passes, quick hits, but they just ran the ball a lot. And I remember I did predict that. I made that bold prediction against when they played Clemson that this would be the game where he would prove that he's a head coach material.
Right.
I don't think he's quite there yet.
No, that was really bold. That was very bold.
It was bold, and I was so wrong on that. But like Mark brought up earlier, it's kind of more of a collective thing with the roster. You know, I think we've seen what King is capable of at Houston, and I mean, you could argue that maybe the talent at Miami is better, you know, because it's so South Florida filled with athletes. But, you know, it's the O-line isn't that great.
No, but the thing is at Houston, they truly used him as a dual threat guy. Miami is limiting him to passing the football. And I think it's more because he's trying to prove he's an NFL guy.
Right. Maybe they're not limiting him. Maybe he's trying to do too much with his arm as opposed to, like you said, being more of a dual threat guy.
Well, I also think that, you know, Houston didn't have as many weapons as Miami.
No. They had a solid core group there. They had
but were they better than Miami's?
Better. Their offense was better than Miami right now, yes. The offense he was running, they're not better players, but the system was better, yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I actually was just thinking that just now too, where I feel like, you know, King's kind of in his senior year and he kind of really wants to prove that, you know, he can throw the ball and prove doubters is wrong. As for Lashley,
I was just joking about that, man. We still want Rhett Lashley here. I don't want no Patrick.
Yeah.
No.
Don't throw me under the bus there, man. That was
so serious there, bro.
But still, I mean, you do want to see that fourth place Heisman candidate that we all saw at Houston. You know, I think when it comes down to it, it's execution. You know, I think the O-line is limited. We obviously have the talent. We have the talent at running back for sure. Still kind of on the younger side. Receivers are kind of, you know, they're kind of 50-50. You know, if they step up, they definitely have a lot. And I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, I think it's really a collective thing with the offense right now, and you just got to hope that, you know, the line plays better, especially the inside. Clark had 3 penalties. I think it was either against Virginia or the week before. There's still little things that they need to really clean up, but it's still often a work in progress.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I kind of want to turn to the last 15 minutes and talk a little bit about 2021 class and 2022, and again, big game that's going on tonight between Palmetto and Northwestern. You've got Leonard Taylor, you've got Brashard Smith. On the Palmetto side, Savion Collins as well. Then on the other side, you've got Romello Brinson, that Tim Burns kid,
Collier Branton,
Cam Kitchens, and Khalil, right? Cam Kitchens, and Khalil Brantley, right? So you got a slew of guys that are Miami commits, and then of course you've got some other guys there that we were hoping to see in orange and green, but that's okay. I mean, that's a great football game that's going on. I'm not even looking at the score. Marsh, I don't know if you have any updates on that, but what do you see out of the young kids that are committed to Miami that are playing this game? Could you see any of these guys like a Romello Brinson being the next guy, the next wide receiver? And you know what, by the way, hold on, before we get to that, I totally forgot to mention someone a couple weeks ago when we were talking to Yerudia and Andrew Ivins about a kid that can make a big difference at the wide receiver position, because he was being recruited as a cornerback, right, or as a defensive back, is Malik Curtis. That kid's got to play wide receiver here. He's got to play wide receiver at the University of Miami. I mean, if you see his highlights, if you see his stats, the way he's playing over at, I believe he plays for Bishop Verot, if I'm not mistaken, some of those teams up there, which, by the way, was a powerhouse of baseball when I was in high school. But that's I digress. Bishop Verot, Malik Curtis, absolute stud at wide receiver. But let's go back to Northwestern and Palmetto for a second. Obviously, we know we're getting in 5-star defensive tackle Leonard Taylor, even the Savion Collins, who's a younger kid, and Brashard Smith. We saw him make some plays against Booker T. Washington last week. Also, what do you see out of these guys in the 2021 class? And what are we looking at to fill this class? I think we have 2 or 3 more spots left.
As far as I love the 2021 class, I think one of the Manny Diaz has done a tremendous job with that. I'm really, really excited about Romello Brinson. Actually, Andrew Ivins just tweeted out a clip of because Brinson's going against Jason Marshall tonight, and there was a point where Brinson beat Marshall cleanly off the line, it's just great to see. The guy that I'm most excited to watch offensively in terms of, what he can do for Miami is Brashard Smith. I've been like the biggest fan of him. He has incredible speed. He's only ranked as a 3-star, which is like a crime to humanity. Because him and a Rhett Lashley offense, it's kind of like what Jeff Thomas could have done in a Rhett Lashley offense. So I'm very excited about that. Leonard Taylor, I think, is going to be battling for serious playing time next year. He's everything that you want out of a modern defensive end. As far as, what we're going to fill the rest of the class with, obviously you need a cornerback. We just sent out an offer to Marvin Covington out of Texas, who I really like. But we'll see, he's starting to blow up out there in Texas because I think we were his first offer. But you definitely have to get one or maybe even 2 cornerbacks. But, Jake Garcia is still out there. Terrence Lewis is still out there. If you can try and flip them, I think it really is just going to depend on how these next few weeks go. If the Canes can, hopefully keep winning. If they can win tomorrow night, obviously get a big win against Virginia Tech next week, and that's going to change a lot of things. You're back in the top 10. So cornerback, though, man, I don't know why we're still having to stress this. It's November, and we only have 1 cornerback committed in the class. So,
well, Manny, our producer, by the way, is a big Gators fan, and when you said that Romello Brinson smoked Jason Marshall off the line, he already started whining and complaining. Take that, bro. Just take it, Manny. Just take that. That your boy Marshall can't handle Romello Brinson.
I would take it. Jason Marshall.
But if Jason Marshall wants to flip, let's ride.
I don't know about that.
Marshall, I just seen the clip. It's just bad coaching at the defensive back position.
That kid's a stud.
I'm saying
one of the biggest recruiting drops.
You don't think he's that good? You don't think he's that good, Jock?
Which kid?
Jason Marshall. You think he's overrated?
No. I don't want to say he's overrated. I'm just saying from the clips the clip I just seen is just bad technique. Like he's not getting coached properly. Like you don't ever give a receiver an inside release like that and nothing like that. You got to move your feet.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's pretty good, and Corey Collier is obviously another kid that
he'll be a safety at the next level. Though.
Yeah, and I think he plays safety with Palmetto a little bit also, or he plays both. So, look, I'm excited about the 2021 class too. And we keep going back to Jake Garcia. I don't know if that's kind of, at this point where, kind of just saying, all right, if he comes, he comes. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We're tired of the saga of him going.
It's no saga, man. It's the quarterback, man. They're divas. Divas.
So that's a saga. So then the saga continues.
I'm gonna be honest though. When you have to take into account with a quarterback, especially, is those kids have to make the best decision for them. So if a quarterback commits late, it's okay because it's like, hey, I'm the quarterback. I'm not gonna go sit behind Tyler Van Dyke for 3 years trying to hope I play. No, I want to go to the best situation. Do I think Miami will be the best situation for Jake Garcia? Yes, because I think Van Dyke, I think it'll be a battle. But I also think Miami has that card in their back pocket is with De'Aaron King because he can't come back next year. So that's a card that they're probably going to hold close to the water.
Or you get another graduate transfer, or they can go into the transfer portal again.
Correct. Because I think JT Daniels is probably going to leave Georgia. But like I said, I was talking to a friend about that too. I was just like, JT Daniels must not be that good because Stinson, that kid Stinson Bennett is terrible. And I just
I don't know what's going on over there in Georgia, and that's okay though. We'll take it. Look, listen.
As long as they win this weekend.
Yeah, That's it.
I do have a question, Marsh. Do you think you feel like Brashard Smith's gonna have the most impact out of the class?
I mean, out of the entire class, no. I mean, you have to go with a guy probably like James Williams, obviously, or Leonard Taylor. But offensively, in this system, Brashard Smith is fit for this kind of offense. So I think he can be, dynamic. I think he can be electric. But it's hard to pinpoint, which guy is going to have the biggest impact when you have players like Leonard Taylor, James Williams, Romello Brinson, Cam Kinchins, who I think is, maybe one of the best safeties in America. I'm a huge Cam Kinchins fan.
He got his movement, like his fluidity at safety. Yeah. I see him at. But like I tell people, James Williams is going to be a linebacker at the next level. But that's just
he looks like he could play defensive line right now. He is.
Yeah, he's a monster,
he's
man.
Big, brother.
He's a monster.
He's big.
So let's end the show here with a couple things. We'll do some predictions and we'll do some keys. Obviously, we'll hopefully we have a pregame show lined up for you guys tomorrow at 7:00. The game's at 7:30, so hopefully we'll have that for you here on the Six Rings Canes pregame show. But before we go, Danny, I want to start off with you on what your keys to the game are going to be and what your prediction is for tomorrow night.
Yeah, my keys to the game is for King to have good decision making. We've talked about the struggles of the offensive line a bit, so he can't afford to stand in the pocket and wait for his receivers to get open too often. He either needs to tuck it and run like we've talked about, or focus on getting the right read. And again, just getting the running backs involved in the passing game and trying something new. I think for a score prediction, I'll have to go 24-21 Miami. I think it's going to be
damn
both sides.
Another one.
Yeah, Jesus. All right, Paul, what do you got, man?
I think Miami covers. I'm not gonna predict a blowout per se. I want that to be a blowout, but I'm gonna go 27-10 Miami. I think it's important that with because NC State's offense is still a little shaky with not only the new quarterback in Hockman, but also with Finley. So I think that they need to really, really pressure the quarterback. This can't be another one-sack game again. No, like the Roche and Phillips need to go off. Nesta as well. And I think also I want to also see the running game get established to at least 200 yards. This, like I said earlier, if there's a game where the running game goes off, this is it. So hopefully that happens.
Give me your point prediction. Did you say 27-10?
27-10.
Jock, what do you got for me, man?
I think one of the biggest factors we do have to factor in is it's a bye week. So Miami's gonna come back refreshed. You're gonna see new wrinkles in the offense and the defense. So I just feel like we're gonna see a new Miami team. They had a bye week at the perfect time because this is the stretch of the season that everybody's waiting for. Like this was after the Clemson. Like this is the stretch you got because December you got North Carolina probably gonna be the game for the Coastal. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, I think it's that Miami's defense has to show up and play well. Anytime you're on the road, one thing that always travel is the defense. So the defense has to come show up. And I just want to see them get back to that disruptiveness that we were experiencing in the first 4 games. The sacks, the tackles for loss. And I want to see Mike Hartley continue. I do think Miami wins this game like 31-24. I don't see it being a blowout. I think NC State comes and play Miami hard. It's a Friday night game, but I wouldn't be shocked if Miami blows them out too, just because Miami has had 2 weeks to prepare. And let's see what kind of – but Manny Diaz is 0-4 after his bye weeks in his 19 games.
Yep.
But I think he breaks the snide this week and he wins a 31-24 game.
And by the way, everybody go support Jock Givens at my alma mater. Now the
what you mean? Your alma mater,
my alma mater too. My alma mater.
I went to the school too.
I won a state championship there. My alma mater.
Okay,
right? My
you
alma
got
mater. It. South Miami Senior High, baby. Go Cobras. Let's go.
Go Cobras, man. We done.
Yeah.
Oh,
what is that, bro? What
my.
is that? You be brown ass.
No, that's some random.
We're gonna have some kids going to UM soon while I'm there. Trust me.
I know it. Dave, give me your keys to the game before I get to March.
Well, I know we talked about the running game, but I agree with the board. I think everybody wants the defense to set the tone in this one, jump out on them early against the questionable quarterbacks for NC State. And this is going to be a big game for the offense. I feel like they're going to probably click on all cylinders, both in the running game and passing game, and probably pull away in the late third, early fourth quarter. I think it'll be close and competitive in the first half at least. But I think Miami will kind of wear them down with the tempo and start to find their rhythm after that extra time to prepare, like we talked about. And I'm looking for a big performance after the bye. Finally, they can't come out flat. So I think they just have to be sharp and limit mistakes and play a clean game. No, procedural stuff, just little things like that. Play good fundamental football. I think we have a big advantage on special teams as well. With the solid kicking game, I think we can dominate field position and put them behind early and probably separate in the second half. I'm going to go with 38-20 Miami.
38-20. I keep saying that Miami's going to put up 40 burgers, and they haven't in the last 3 times that I've said it. So I'm not going to
no 40 burgers for me.
No 40. No. 37-20 Miami. I'll give my keys later on, maybe tomorrow. Mark, finish off strong here. Finish off strong.
So this game is huge, not for the offense, things like that. It's big for Manny Diaz. If he can get that win after a bye week finally. So you can't come out slow. You have to come out hot like you did against Louisville, like you did against FSU. You can't let NC State hang around. And because that's what has plagued this program over the past few years in these trap games. You let these teams hang around. So but the Canes fan in me that has seen the last 15 years is also very skeptical. So I don't think Miami covers, but I predict a 27-20 Canes win.
27-20. Tell them where they can find you, Mark.
So check out my work on the State of the U, always publishing articles there, and then also my podcast, Fours Up Podcast, 2 to 3 episodes a week. So, and at Hurricanes Marsh on Twitter.
There we go, baby. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us on the program today, man. We appreciate it. Hope to have you on soon again.
Thank you, Marsh.
Dave, Danny, Paul, Josh. All right, guys. Take it easy. Go Canes. We'll see you guys tomorrow for pregame.
Canes.
Go Canes.